Hello. Hello.
Hello.
I'm here.
Sunday. We
Wish you
finally
same.
have you on the
Yeah.
priesthood.
And finally.
And finally, indeed. Oh. All
Thank
right, so
you.
tell me, how was service today?
Awesome. It was nice,
Awesome, as
fantastic.
usual.
Yeah.
As usual. All right. Hope you like my filter. I just started to, but let me just do. I shan't see all this feature. Let me use one. Hope it's not too bad.
Been, it's nice.
All
Hey,
right, please, everyone, wherever you are, do yourself and every other person a favor by sharing this program. Let them know that we are on, we are live. Our guest is here. The toxicologist is in the house already. Now let's
yeah.
meet our guest. Naomi Oba, who is she? She is a toxicologist. But noting that that's number one. She is a writer. She is a public speaker. She is a presenter, red carpet host, a customer relation officer, and an entrepreneur. Hey, and is somebody catching anything?
I'm
Believe me when I
trying already.
say we have a professional in the house. You understand? So on what we are on the topic we have in the house today, she's not just coming here to come and share opinion. She is a certified. You know what it means to have certificate in a particular course. So whatever she says to you on ecosystem today, just believe it. So once again, welcome Naomi Oba. Good
Thank
to have you on the
you.
principal.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Should we just go straight to the question?
Yeah, we can start discussing because it's a whole lot of topic to talk about. So we have no time to waste on it.
At all, at all. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as a professional toxicologist, simplify the phrase ecosystem collapse.
Okay. Firstly, I want to use this opportunity to thank God for this opportunity given to me, like the medium, to thank God for giving me this opportunity to be here, and also thank you for having me, for bringing me up on this show. And seriously, the challenges has been the challenges has been enormous trying to come on the show, but one thing or the other. Well, thank God we are having it today, and I'm really glad. Firstly, talking about ecosystem collapse. So, like you rightly said, I think that definition of ecosystem is somewhat complex, that some persons, like a layman language or layman understanding, they might not really understand what it means. But when we're talking about ecosystem in a simplified definition, we are talking about the interaction between biotic and abiotic components. And please pardon me, I'll be giving us some biological terms. But I'll try to simplify them as much as I can. So when we're talking about biotic and abiotic components, we're talking about living and non-living things. Are we together? So
Yes.
if we now have the interaction, how do we interact with our environment? So the living organisms, let me say the living things we are talking about, which is also known biologically as a biotic component, we are talking about plants and animals. And when we are talking about the non-living things or the abiotic components, we are talking about the non-living things like the water, land, air, or wind. Somehow we talk about temperature, which is also embedded in it. So looking at ecosystem collapse, it simply means that the relationship, there is now a bridge, there is a break, there is an interruption, or there is a degradation of this interaction between living and non-living things. So it's like we are now fighting each other. You understand? So that collapse, making it like, it's like I have a building. I built this this house, and when there is no interaction, like when something interrupts that building, the building tends to collapse, like maybe
Exactly.
flooding or so in this interaction now, which is the ecosystem, we are supposed to interact, we're supposed to be friends, we're not supposed to be enemies. But when the enmity begins, the collapse has started. So which means the ecosystem is collapsed because of bad interruption or interaction, because there is poor interaction, there is breach in interaction, there is no coexistence, there is no friendliness in that regard. So that's how best I know I can understand. I can explain for our understanding, like based on our own understanding. That's how best we can put it. Thank you.
Wow, that's interesting and very clear. All right, so in a layman definition, our guest has been able to define the term ecosystem collapse. So there is an enmity between human and
The living and the non-living things.
non-living thing. Okay, so
Yes.
now the next question is, how do we as human contribute to ecosystem collapse? How do we come about this enmity? You understand? How?
Yeah. That is.
How is it the part of other money?
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
Okay.
Now, before we talk about how this enmity comes, how did we come about this enmity? And let's look at some causes. What might be some likely causes? Or okay, let me say, okay, let's say, how did we come about this? How we came about this enmity, this collapse in the ecosystem? Number one, and the number one thing, okay, let me say number one, human activities. Human activities. What
Okay.
we do. Number two, natural disaster.
Okay.
So these human activities actually gradually, to some level of percentage, leads to natural disaster. So basically, if we want to talk about these causes, or how we have come about this collapse in ecosystem, we can point out two factors, which is human activities and natural disaster. Now, I want to take it one after the other. Let's look at the human activities. How has human, in their own activity, daily activity, contributed to this? If we want to talk about, let me use this as an example. In one of my videos where I talked about your interaction between you and your environment, I mentioned something that what you give, this life is purely about give and take, irrespective, either living or non-living things. So it's basically give and take. So whatever you are giving, that is why we need to be conscious of what we are giving out. Because either you like it or not, in a short or long run, whatever you have given, you are receiving. You are getting it back. It's no cost. Now, if we have, let's use the usual example we have in our environment. Now, this is particular about the male counterparts, and the male counterpart, with no apology, I will say it strictly, with no apology. Now, a man passing by, walking down the street, who is pressed. He is pressed, yes. He can't cheat nature. But the best place he could ease himself is just by the wall of a building. Now, another man too was passing by. He's also pressed, and he saw that same corner. He wasn't there when the first person did. he also excused himself and urinated on that same spot. Man 3 is also passing. He did the same thing. Now, let's say 3 persons per day. 3 persons per day.
I'm with you, please.
Before you know it, that place has started giving you bad odor, unpleasant smell. So, is it the land or the building that gave us that smell? No.
No.
It was what we as humans deposited that gave us the smell. Now, let me use this another example. Let me say I'm a caterer, or yes, well, as a lady, I will cook. Everybody will definitely cook and eat. And let me use animal skin, cow skin. We usually call it pomo. I wash pomo. I pour the water outside. I wash fish. I pour the water outside. I wash beans. I pour the water outside. I wash clothes. I pour the water outside. Do you think that place will give you a pleasant smell? The answer is no, outrightly.
Yes.
It can't give us, so that human activity. And there is also something that is actually very particular about every Nigerian, and I will say it's Nigerian without no apology. As a full-grown person with intellect, who is who is educated, beautiful, looking handsome, you can't be walking by the roadside and you'd finish drinking bottled water, sachet water, pet drinks, and you just litter the environment. And you think that place will be fine? If 10 persons do the same thing, that environment won't look as nice as how you met it.
Of course.
So these are human activities. These are some of the human activities. I just mentioned few because if I had to start mentioning them, even down to our kitchen, where we have to, a lot of things we do that is degrading our ecosystem. And that is, let me use this as an example. And there is nothing we can do about it though. Over the years, our parents started cooking with firewood, and we graduated to cook with kerosene, and then later we graduated using cylinder like gas, cooker or whatever. Now, do you know the level of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide that we release to the atmosphere? One of the things we do, which we will not believe, when you strike your matchstick, pin, look at it, there is a very slight smoke that comes out from it. If that smoke make a mistake of passing through your nostrils, you will choke. I don't know if it has happened to you.
Yes, it has happened to me before.
That thing contains sulfur dioxide. Somehow we still call it sulfuric oxide. And it is very dangerous. Now, if we have 50 homes, or let me say 100 homes in an environment, who strike that matchstick and produces same thing, our atmosphere, our environment will not be the same. Let alone when we burn firewood. Sometimes we say, I'm no more using these clothes. We will burn the clothes. Now we see some people out of excitement, especially December 31st, Happy New Year and all of this, all the gyration, bam, tire is outside. They start burning tires. The burning of that tire has contributed more than enough of what we think we have done to the atmosphere. And it has caused degradation of the ozone layer, which has led to what we are suffering today. The high intensity of sunlight, which you call global warming. which we have called global warming. These are things that have actually heated the atmosphere, the ozone layer, and has caused global warming, giving us high intensity of sunlight. And that is why these days, in return, we find ourselves with numerous skin diseases because it is hitting into the skin. If you look at the skin has some pores. Let's say layman language will say hole, some tiny hole, but biologically we call it pores. Now, as these things are entering and hitting the skin, you are sweating, but some things that are not supposed to penetrate into the skin, we penetrate into the skin and we see different skin reactions. And there I pity those who think they are smart, they want to look beautiful using bleaching cream.
Oh my word,
what's even the worst. Now, let me pause on human activities because we still have to talk more on it. Now, let's go to natural disaster. How human activities has also led to natural disaster, which has caused this collapse. The natural disaster like flooding. Our environment cannot just be flooded if there is no obstruction. But because we have obstructed some flow, I can't imagine how we as humans, some things are happening within the human folks that are really uncalled for. How will human with not like you are okay and you just take too many, you just pack the dirt, you pack your waste and you just pour it on waterway. Now, as this thing you are pouring today, you pour tomorrow, rainfall you pour next tomorrow, another. Don't forget that one person that is pouring will not be the only person that is pouring that dirt there. Other people will also pour waste.
Yes.
And as they are pouring that waste, other things, it's causing a blockage. And eventually, there is flood everywhere. Let's imagine what is happening far back in Kogi State and some other northern area where flood has erupted, has engulfed everywhere, just with human activities. And can we talk about the earthquake? Sometimes because of some heavy activities from our industries causes earthquake. Go to some European countries, you are even scared of sleeping in your house because you can be walking by the roadside or you can just stand somewhere and somehow the earth is beginning to vibrate. These are some natural, maybe you talk about the hurricanes and a whole lot of them, natural disaster. Of course, we call them natural disaster, but they are human influenced. Most of them are human influenced. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. So deep. So informative. Amazing. All right, before I move on to the next question, thank you so much. All right, if you have joined us on the program today, the topic is ecosystem collapse, and we have a professional in the house, a ecologist, Naomi Oba, on almost all our social handle, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Naomi Oba, you need to follow her and get knowledge. Get to know the damage you are causing to yourself, to your environment. Okay, so she has actually said a lot. But then, before I go to the second to the last question, there was a day I was going somewhere and there was this traffic. I didn't know from nowhere. I just found a bag of a sack of dirt in the middle of the road. I mean, on the express. So it was the driver that said, who threw this thing here just now? How it happened, we didn't know. Nobody. On the express. So
Should
I'm just saying this to buttress your points that when we are talking about that number one human activity, I think it's very deep. Most of us contribute to that. That is one. How about on the streets? My sister, haven't you seen people burning deaths on the streets?
Yes, yes. We have seen a whole lot of them. We have seen a whole lot of them. In fact, before it comes about burning, before it comes to the point of burning things on the highway, like one of the things I mentioned earlier, especially on tires, burning of tires. I don't know what kind of celebration we think we are giving ourselves that we can't give a light celebration, a reasonable celebration other than burning things, all in the name of celebration.
Excuse me, Mrs. Naomi, on that. How the vigilante, they do same, vigilante. Don't people claim it that they're watching? At you see them at junction, they burn tires. So it's wrong.
Yes, it's not right because these things are contributing heavily to the environment. Now, let me explain how this is affecting us in case we don't know. We have different layers of the atmosphere. And one of the layer that's closer to the earth is the ozone layer. Now, this ozone layer is like a trampoline that protects us from direct sunlight.
Can you imagine?
Because, see, we can't withstand the intensity from sunlight, and that is why we are suffering now. That's why we are suffering. Now, this trampoline that is covering us, is shielding us, protecting us from direct sunlight. We have destroyed it.
We by ourselves.
How have we destroyed it? We burn this today, we burn that tomorrow, we do this today, we do that tomorrow. Even the exhaust from our vehicles has contributed too much because everybody is buying car. Everybody, all of us are now car owners. In advanced countries, the worst part of the thing that is even upsetting me is that they have made Nigeria, the whole world has now made Nigeria a dumping site. Other countries are improving in their automobiles by providing a more conserved fuel they use in their vehicle that will not be harmful to the environment because they have discovered these things. And that is when we will now be going to buy. I want to buy London use, American spec. We'll buy these things. Some engines would have gone so far. Some engines have been badly damaged. These cars are cars that have been abandoned in other countries.
Can you imagine?
And we, by ourselves, for ourselves, with our own sweat and money, we'll go and buy problem. We'll bring it.
Killing ourselves.
Just for that. Then let's look at generator. Every house, even any house that doesn't have generator, and to an extent, the government will still be dragged into this. But before, I don't want to drag in the government into it because even individual activities have been contributing to it. Before we talk about government policy, there was a news some years back where it was stated that a whole family died at the middle of the night from the generator, the exhaust from a generator from a neighboring from a neighbor, and they all suffocated. So if that thing can actually choke a whole family to death, then do you think that the environment can be saved? Now, as we are burning today, we will burn firewood, everything to the atmosphere. As it is going, the smoke coming out contains some amount of gases. Number one gas is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is very dangerous. Carbon dioxide is included. Sulfuric acid is included into it. All these things gather together gather together, accumulating in their own level of percentage. Now, that trampoline I told you is covering us. The heat from the fire is hitting it from here. And it is hitting it. It's just like, of course, we know when we have umbrella under the sun that have stayed too much. At the long run, the thing will start having holes. You will start seeing it will start having some perforations on it. And from there, the sunlight that is coming from here can now penetrate through those holes. And in gradual process, when there is a hole, the hole will keep expanding, expanding, and expanding, and expanding. And as time goes on, we start receiving intensive sunlight. And sometimes we ask ourselves, even our grandparents will be telling us, in our days, the sun is not as hot as this.
Can you imagine?
It cannot be hot as that, because then the trampoline was still working fine. But now we have for ourselves destroyed it.
So basically, we are the one behind ecosystem collapse.
Yes.
All right, now we go to the second to the last question. That is, I read something online and I said, on a day like this, well, any day I have you in the house, I will ask you, does felling or deforestation have any effect on ecosystem? Before you answer, please, I was streaming your page. I think it should be your IG. I was one of your, then I came across one of your videos. That's one of your videos that you were talking about this felling of a thing. Please, can you just share this with us? Does felling or deforestation also contribute to ecosystem collapse?
Okay, yes, 100%. I can state it 100%. Now, when we talk about deforestation, we are talking about the indiscriminate felling of trees. Yes, we have by ourselves destroyed the ozone layer covering us. But God, in His own mercy, in His own love, always giving us a second option, always have another alternative for us, which helps us. That is trees. In fact, we cannot exhaust it. Even for ourselves, by ourselves, we are still felling the trees, all in the name of industrialization or urbanization. Now, these trees also serve as this covering for us. These trees are shield. Now, there is something, the process of photosynthesis. When we talk about, I'm sorry, I will take you a little deeper in biology. When we talk about photosynthesis, we talk about how we interact with the plant. Let me say, in the process of photosynthesis, basically, as human, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Now, I know some people will be a little confused. Plants, in its own sense, plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Now, when we are now talking about the interaction between biotic and abiotic factors, now let's look. This is the basic interaction between plants and animals. The oxygen that we are breathing in is coming from the plants.
Hey.
So the carbon dioxide we are breathing out is what the plant is breathing in. No, so now you can see the interaction. If you go to, let's take an environment, for example. If you go to a specific environment where there are no trees at all, the fresh air you receive is different when you go to an environment that has trees. Number one, the interaction with the environment that has trees is mutual. There is friendliness between the human and the plants. But in the environment where there are no trees, there is now, in fact, there is limited, what is it called? Limited oxygen to breathe in, and that is why that environment will always be hot. That place will always be hot. So, in that regard, number one, the trees helps us to receive good atmosphere, good healthy atmosphere. At the same time, it helps us to shield our environment. In other advanced countries, the planting of trees has been made a duty. And in fact is a course, is a project. And I know Nigeria has that same project, but one problem we have in the country is implementation. But thank God for the likes of Sambayo, especially in this environment, the likes of Ashiwaju, Femi Chacha, and some other persons who I have seen so far within this little space of ours who have been planting trees. And some other states also have taken it as a project to plant like 5,000 trees. And within the year, we need to plant more trees, which will help us, number one, to shield the environment, for us to have a cordial and a smooth interaction with our environment, and also to reduce the absorption of direct sunlight into our body system.
Wow, amazing. So if we would want to help ourselves, now that we have one way or the other destroyed or affected the ozone layer, another option God in his mercy that has given to us is maintaining the trees in our compound. Yes. We should just stop felling. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Now lastly, I think, like you have even answered the last question. The last question I have here is, what should we do?
What should we do? A lot of things to be done. Okay. One of the things, the basic things that I want to buttress on us to do is number one, how we dispose our wastes. Wastes. In fact, let me put it as waste management. Now, we have different ways of waste management, and environmentally, we call it the principle of the 4 R's. 4 R's, that's R1, R2, R3, and R4.
As in now,
R, letter R.
Okay, principle of the 4 R's.
Yes, principle of the 4 R's. Now, the first R is reduce.
Reduce?
Reduce. The second R is reuse.
Reuse.
The third R is recycle.
Recycle.
And the fourth R is recover.
Recover.
Yes. Now, most of the things we see as wastes, we take them as waste. They are not literally waste, because it's something we can use again. Now, how do we reduce waste disposal? You will go to the market, you will imagine some people will be fighting for nylon, black nylon. How many Maggi do you want to buy? I want to buy 4 Maggi, and you'll be asking for black nylon. And the worst part is, you go to another shop, you want to buy 2 onions, you will ask for another 4 nylon. You ask for another 1 nylon rather. You go to another place, you want to buy biscuits, 2 biscuits, you will not ask for another black nylon. At the end, when you get home, you will just tear these things out and dispose outside. Come on. Instead of doing that, you can untie gently, you keep it somewhere, you can use it again to wrap something. So in that process, in fact, if you are going to the market, instead of asking for nylon here, nylon there, you can go with your baskets, your shopping bag. Go to the market with your shopping bag where you have this, you put in your bag, not littering the whole place. Now you can reduce how you produce waste. Secondly, reuse. When you drink your drinks, your soft drinks or whatever, Instead of littering it around the place, you can as well keep it for people who will be coming to ask for it. They can use it for kunu. So people will use it as flower vase. So we can use it for different purposes. It might not be you, but others are in need of it. We have opportunity to reuse. I have seen a building that was erected with PET bottles.
I saw it too.
A building was erected with PET bottles.
And it was beautiful.
Yes, another person, this coconut shell. Coconut shell was used to make what's this called? Teacup, small jug, and the likes. So we can reuse things, not disposing everywhere. Then another thing is recycling. We need it. We can recycle things. In this place, I always bring our industrial areas, environment into use. The people who produces noodles, people who produces the drinks, we can actually recycle all these things. Even bottle water, bottle drinks and all that. We can recycle it for another use. You can have a way of receiving those things back instead of disposing. Then in the aspect of recover, we use it, we can recover all of these things by all of these activities we have gathered. So that's one way I know we can help ourselves. Number two ways we can help ourselves is planting of trees. Let's use it as a point of duty. Everybody will want to build their own house, yes. Even myself, I will build house. But I will make it as a point of necessity to have at least 1 or 2 trees in my compound. Put it either in front or behind. But some other superstitious believe that what's your business? Did you plan your building with them? So forget about those ones. It's true. Some people have to fell some trees.
Especially some trees like plantain or banana trees. Do you
have business with them?
I wonder.
You don't have business with them. Once you have Jesus, in fact, there is no issue that can come to your environment. You just need to carry fire. Once you carry fire, it surrounds your compound. You don't need to plant, so you don't need all of those superstitious beliefs. But what you need is to be in good health. Tree planting, make it a necessity. Even in our schools, in the hospitals, it's needed. It's scientifically proven that sick people recover easily in environments where trees are planted. And it is also scientifically proven that children have retentive memory in environment when they have an environment surrounded with trees for learning.
Wow.
So when they learn in that kind of environment, they easily retain what they are taught, other than everywhere is hot. I can imagine back then in secondary school when they will bring a timetable and put mathematics for afternoon. How do you want me to learn in this hot sun? You understand? So these things these two things we can mind the way we should always cultivate the habit how we manage waste and planting of trees. Basically, we can help that to reduce our the collapse of ecosystem in our environment. Thank you.
So informative, educative. I've just learned a lot. Oh, God bless you, sis. Oh, friends and family, everyone viewing us and those that will still view this video later, I need you to follow our guests on our social handle. And another thing you need to do for me, and like I said in our introduction, she is an entrepreneur. So if you are looking for this part, listen very well. if you are looking for sophisticated bean flour to make moi moi, as in moi moi let me make you understand, akara, begiri, and ekuru, easy and interesting with omoba food.
Yeah.
I tell you, no, and this is coming from you to everyone. Patronize our guest, Omoba Food. She produces bean flour for your fastest and easy way to make these kinds of foods, types of meal like momoy, like I said before. So just patronize her and thank me later. Once again, thank you for coming to the priesthood today. Honestly, your session has been so informative. For me, no. We have learned a lot today. As I am now, I'm not, you know, I'm a fan of a clean environment. I love it when I get to a place and the whole compound is well cemented, or outside, or you know, but with what I've heard today, you know, let's just let's start planting something. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Before I let you go, you know, this is the priesthood. Would you like us to play any song?
Hey, now I have to choose a song request, right?
Yes, so
okay. Yes, there is this song I love most. I love a lot, and there is something that I love to listen to. Yes, the song is titled Yano by Tolu Kayode. Oh, I love that song a lot. So,
oh, really?
Play for me. Yeah, so play for me.
We are playing wonderful Yano by Tolu Kayode. All right.